So for 10 years, I've been reporting on the Miami real estate market with my reports and articles and videos. And so it's only appropriate that after 10 years of doing this, finally I get round to giving all that accumulated information on investing in Miami real estate is its own video. Every day I get someone will call me, and right now everyone's saying, do I invest in the Miami real estate market? And if so, what do I invest? And really that conversation has become more and more regular, because right now, as we sit in January 2020, we've seen the peak of the economic cycle, we've seen the downturn of it, and now we're obviously into an area where we're seeing correcting prices, and everyone's trying to figure out, am I buying at the bottom, or am I going to be able to buy at the bottom now and ride the next economic cycle up? Economic cycles. This is really the first thing I really want to discuss, because most of the optics that you get from a realtor, a normal agent, will be at a very granular level. It will be like one property versus the other properties in the area. What I'm going to do, and attempt to do, is to take you back several steps and give you more of a holistic understanding of the market in the last 10 years. And this is really going to give you the answers to that investing question. Now we're going to cover two areas, homes and condos. This is obviously the first, which is condos. Second is homes. Very different animals. Their economic cycles are very different. So pointing up, you probably remember an economic, or you've seen an economic cycle, and you'll notice economic cycles work in waves. Now they don't work in waves where they come and go and they're literally horizontally the same across from one to another. As you go through a cycle, the next cycle, it notches up a little bit, notches up a little bit, notches up a little bit, which is again, a lot to do with inflation and other changes within markets. But what you can be sure of is that if you buy at the base of one economic cycle, and then you buy at the base of the next economic cycle, it's going to be higher. In the same respective way, if you buy at the peak of the economic cycle, the next peak is going to be higher still. This is just the natural occurrences of economic cycles. And the faster you wrap your head around this and the more you adhere to it, the easier it's going to be to understand these investment opportunities that I talk about. Let's talk about Miami's economic cycle, because this is why we're really here. 2010 is really the rise of when things started. The wheels fell off in 7 and 8. It kind of went through this period of having a very, very difficult economic period for the country. And then in 2010, Miami boomed out of it, and we saw a real aggressive rise from 2010, 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. And the peak, again, it's argued where the peak is. It depends on the neighborhood that we're talking about. But I think most can agree that peak was the tail end of 2015 into 2016. Why is that relevant? Because if we assess our peak and we know the peak of the market and we know the base of the market, we can understand how much range we have. So as we're now on the downturn of the cycle, I will project back and say, okay, if I'm going to look at figures in 2012, sale prices in 2012, dollar per square foot values in 2012, it'll give me a good guide of what I should want and try and pay in 2020 to have my next baseline for my next economic cycle. Now, that's the easy part. The hard part is identifying the right product. And I will say this, I'm standing here on a corner unit of a prime building in Brickell with a direct bay view that can never be obstructed, obviously with a wraparound terrace in an economically strong building. And there's 3 reasons I'm standing here in this unit 608 at Carbonell. And these are the 3 reasons that I'm going to cover. Firstly, generic products will often and always get crushed. Even through the next economic cycle, you'll never see the same level of peak and growth and accumulation of value in the property with a generic product. There's too much of it. Generic product, for the most part in Brickell, has been small units, very typically 700, 1,000 square feet, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedroom units, and there's a lot of them out there. Now that means there's opportunity because you can obviously make low offers accordingly with so much product. However, what I will tell you is that with that economic product, you've got to understand the buyers of that market long-term through an economic cycle are mostly investors. They're not end users. They're not going to live in those units because they're not big enough to live in on a permanent basis. And that makes them economically fragile. So that leads me to my second point. I would rather see buyers take rather larger units than that size as an investment. It's more robust. Now, generic product also means being in a position where there is 1,000 other variables that are almost identical. And the biggest one and the most important one is the view. Location, location, location in an urban setting is based on the kind of views that you're going to get out to the water. And the reason you buy in Miami is to see the water. That's very clear. Everyone knows that. So again, there's only so much waterfront real estate. As soon as you get back and get set back, you've got limitations of views, and also you have the potential problem of buildings being built up in front of you in the next economic cycle. So I'll always guide my buyers to take those units like this that sit right on the water. And then thirdly and finally, you've got to look at the economic robustness of the building and the desirability to live in that building as a primary residence. Because when the markets will turn again, which they always will, the investment-based properties are the first to go, the first to suffer. The generic product that can be replicated in the next cycle, and it will get replicated in the next cycle. It's inevitable, it always happens. So whether it is Brickell or Coconut Grove or Coral Gables or South of Fifth or South Beach or Bal Harbour or Sunny Isles or Aventura, we cover all of these markets. Go into our economic health score indicator and look at the months of inventory. This gives you a good sense of supply and demand. But the identification of product is worked hand in hand with my business partners on this as we launch Condo Geeks, which is a high-grade analysis for the condo market. We provide these high-grade models to help you identify the right product. I know there's a lot of investment conversations out there, a lot of dialogue with investors, get-rich-quick schemes, flip properties, buy condos cheap, sell them high. But the realities is that, look, some of this is pitch marketing. You've got to really see through it and see that the realities of what you're dealing with. And we will give you the optics to make those decisions. Nothing more, nothing less. We're sincere, we're honest, we're direct, and everything that we say we will back up with statistical analysis. Don't take my word for it. Trust your own eyes. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and the next video we will cover will be homes.